Welcome to my series, A Realtor at the Movies. This is where I watch iconic movies from the past with my kids, and of course I can't help but watching it through the lens of being a realtor. Today's episode, Back to the Future, one of my favorites from the opening credits all the way till the end where Marty comes back to 1985. My name's Travis Anderson. I'm a realtor in Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. Let's talk about real estate lessons from Back to the Future. Steven Spielberg absolutely crushes it with just the opening credits in Back to the Future. It's probably my favorite of all time. And what we see, we don't see the DeLorean, we don't see Marty, we don't see any of the characters. What we see is a camera panning through Doc Brown's office with hundreds of timepieces, clocks, watches, etc., that are all ticking at the same time. And that is a great reminder, or at least a foreshadowing in the movie, that we're going to be talking about time and that time travel specifically. Now, obviously, none of us can hop in a DeLorean, race up to 88 miles per hour and flash back 30 years. But if you could, my question would be, would you buy real estate? And that gets me thinking that what is it going to look like 30 years down the road? Should we be looking at buying more real estate for an extremely long purchase? And that's what those clocks got me thinking about right away. The movie goes right into character building. And then fairly early in the movie, we see the DeLorean reveal backing out of that trailer with the smoke and the steam. And what an awesome thing to see way back when. My kids love watching that scene as well. And then, of course, Doc Brown loads Einstein, the dog, up into the DeLorean with a remote control. He speeds that thing up into 88 miles per hour and boom, just like that, it disappears. It only leaves behind some fire on the tire tracks, which is just an awesome scene in the movie. And then, of course, seconds later, you hear a big boom and Einstein reappears. And that's evidence that Doc Brown can do time travel. And in talking to my kids, I'm like, look, he seized this opportunity. He believed in something, right? He took direct action towards it. We can't always be 100% certain. Like, he could have disintegrated his dog, right? So we can't be 100% certain of the future. But what we can do is once we make a decision, we can take action towards that decision. We can seize that opportunity. That's exactly what Doc Brown did. Of course, the same holds true with real estate. We might not always know if it's the perfect home, but if we're 80% home or 90% home, honestly, once a decision has been made, anything short of action would be inappropriate. It's a lesson I learned from Doc Brown in that awesome scene. And it's a lesson that you can apply when you're in the market to buy or sell a home. And who can also forget the touches with death in the movie Back to the Future? You've got Marty's hand disappearing, his picture disappearing, or his image disappearing on that picture. He knows that the choices that he's going to make then is going to affect even his ability to exist in the future. You've got Doc Brown dangling from the clock tower in like near moment death with the lightning striking that clock tower. Steven Spielberg again just crushes it with like the touches of death in this movie that are both sort of believable in a time travel sense, but also very real and relatable for all of us. And it gets me thinking, of course, about the legacy that we're going to leave back for our children and our grandchildren and everyone else that we come to love. And when Marty returns back to the future, the choices that he made in the past affected his family in the future. So the choices that we make, of course, affect our future, and that holds true with real estate. You know, I'd read sometime that 80% of all wealth in the United States is held in real estate. I'm not sure that's true anymore with how the stock market works, but it's got to be a large percentage, probably at least 40% of all the wealth in the United States is held in real estate. I think that holds true for many of the families that I work with. They might own a home and maybe a cabin, so they've got $1 million or something like that in wealth in their real estate. And that's what the legacy can do for us. It's something that's a good reminder in this movie that when we're in touch with death, reminds me of the legacy and what we're going to pass on to our kids. And real estate can be one of those things that we pass on. So thanks for watching this episode of A Realtor at the Movies. Of course, I watch these movies with my kids because it's super fun. And I'm a realtor, so I can't help think about realtor. I can't help but think about some of the lessons in real estate. Time is so important. If we were to move into the future, real estate is probably going to be appreciating at some sort of a normal rate, 4% per year historically. It might dip here and there, but if you own a property for 30 years, you're probably going to be in really good shape. Of course, seizing the opportunity, not everything is going to be perfect. And then lastly, thinking about our legacy here. We have a limited amount of time. We don't know what that time looks like. My name's Travis Anderson, and as always, All my best to you and yours.